For Cincinnati, it all starts with that huge offensive line.
Exactly the opposite.
Exactly the opposite. This is what the Bengals have done now is everything but the offensive line. We don't need it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like, we're the team with the great quarterback now that just made it here because of one guy. Like, that's what a lot of people are, I think, rightly saying about the Cincinnati Bengals. When you and I talked at the beginning of the season, do you remember the rant I had about Mike Brown? I mean, after he released that statement, I don't think that this Super Bowl run has changed my opinion on a lot of the moves that the Bengals did. I just think that we all sorely underestimated. I even sorely underestimated because of kind of what happened in the rookie year, but I should have considered more the circumstances of the pandemic. The fact that there wasn't a full offseason of Joe Burrow's influence. And now that we've seen it, and it got jet fuel because he had to rehab. Mm-hmm. So not only did he get better in terms of how he improved as himself as a player than everybody else in the locker room, he also did it while rehabbing a major injury.
Yeah.
And that type of work ethic and culture, it makes all these decisions that you and I are like, maybe we should sign Kevin Zeitler. It can mask them, right? Nathan Whitey came on our podcast, and I say this all the time. He told me all the time, and Ryan Adams, who I worked with when I coached baseball in Athens, who was Joe Burrow's high school coach, and Sam Smathers, who we're going to have on the podcast this week, who was mentioned by Joe Burrow as the guy that got him to play football. Sam gives me chili and sauce all the time and sends me salsa. Like, it's great stuff.
There you go.
Down in Southeast Ohio. And all these guys have said, I swear to you, Lukas, there were guys that shouldn't have been able to block who they blocked. There were guys that caught balls they shouldn't have been able to catch, that ran. It just inspired everything. It inspired the defense, the offense, the special teams, the town, the city, the people, the adults in the city, the media. And like, it just was a mass change event in Athens because of him. And so when they saw it again at LSU, I think we should have just assumed that it was going to happen to this level. You and I thought it might be like playoffs. But
yeah.
Matt, this is insane.
We were talking about this, insane. Yeah, we were talking about this being the season for a playoff win with all the Bengals showing up for OTAs, with Burrow months ahead in his recovery. We were saying this months ago, and that's one thing that we need to go back to all of your rants that you have done on the 3 a.m. Coney and find some of those little Coney tidbits where you are basically talking about how Joe's entire aura can just cause other people to play outside of their normal level. He is bringing a team around him. He is showing not just the fans, but the entire team, all of the players, even higher ups, probably even Mike Brown is sleeping better or doing whatever he does. He's doing it better at a more Mike Brown level because Joe Burrow is here. Yeah. And so we need to go back through all those rants, find them all, put together a montage, because we were right. We were talking first about this early on. We were first. Joe Burrow enthusiasts.
I think that I definitely need to. It's just, the world sees it. To me, it just was obvious, Matt. This isn't something I feel like I was out in front of. I just feel like it's something that I was able to experience as a person that wasn't from Athens, right? As a person that came from the outside and heard the stories and looked at the numbers and watched the film, that I was able to experience what that was, what they meant by that, that it was beyond his talent, that it was a culture thing, that it was an intangibles thing. And that's why I always said, even before I thought Joe Burrow would be the number one overall pick, Matt, and there's so many segments you can pull from my radio clips back then, I said I would want to draft Joe Burrow at the earliest possible moment to draft him. So even when he was the backup at when he was the backup at Ohio State, I said I would even take him in the 4th round. Like if he came out this year in the draft, because I know, and I've heard the stories of the type of leader, work ethic, inspiration, teammate, all that stuff, which people kill for in quarterbacks, right? That is a skill that we discount all the time. It's because people kill for it. People want it. People need to have it. It makes teams better. It's infectious. It carries through. It makes your culture have legs. And that's what's so exciting about this, Matt. It doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, we're here and we're never coming back.
Yeah.
And I know that's a dangerous thought and one that I've really like messed around with in my head, but
one that you have vocalized many times.
but this feels like truly, because if Joe Burrow, so here's the evidence we've collected, Matt, right? The things he did at Athens, the things he did at LSU, now the things he's done with the Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl. It's absolutely insane.
Okay. You say it out loud, it doesn't sound like a normal sentence.
It's insane, man. It's off the charts. It's
the Cincinnati Bengals are in the Super Bowl, and they play in a week.
In 2021, man. In 2021.
I mean, it's 2022 now, but the 2021 season.
Yeah, the 2021 season. But when I met my fiance 2 years ago and 3 years ago, I'm sorry, I'm messing up the date, whatever.
She's gonna come over and slap you.
You
forgot our anniversary.
And we were out in the city and we were thinking about it, and this thought just hit me, and I went, man, when I met her, I knew that I wanted to marry her. I waited to ask because it's just one of those things you wait.
Yeah,
I said, I definitely want to marry this girl. But if you would have told me, hey, the Bengals are going to be in the Super Bowl before your wedding, I'd be like, did I wait? What happened?
I'm not getting married till 2040. What?
Was it not till 2025? What happened? Why? I thought I'd be 2022 around there. And the fact that is fathomable, that might happen, that they might win the whole damn thing. Mm-hmm. It's just incredible. And so, when you trace the evidence of, okay, well, if it happened there and it happened here and it happened in the NFL, that means we should take other things that happened in that era and assume that they're going to translate, right? The development factor is what's incredibly scary here, right? So imagine if all those LSU players had come back for another year after they went 15-0. Well, we have evidence of that, and that's the Joe Burrow sophomore season where he got it all together at Athens to the junior season. And I just want everybody to just take some time on Max Preps, go look through box scores. You buy the Athens Messenger subscription for a month and go read those articles and the recaps. Go find highlights if you can. It is dominance at an unbelievable level in high school football. And the fact that we saw unbelievable dominance in college, we saw unbelievable dominance in high school, all these other things have translated. To me, if the Bengals can just latch onto what Joe Burrow believes, his culture, his type of players, and continue to push these type of guys that love football, right? Guys that Joe can elevate. Because you bring guys in that don't love football, it doesn't matter how much Joe loves football, he can't elevate them. So if you just keep bringing in guys that love football and you keep feeding this culture, and Jamar Chase turns 23 in 2 years. T. Higgins, these guys, they are going to be in their mid-20s.
So young and already stars. Absurd.
They can accomplish, name something, Matt. Name an NFL accomplishment. Outside of Super Bowls or anything, but just name something.
Oh, so not Super Bowl MVP?
Yeah, well, that's already on the table. But let's name something that currently isn't on the table.
Currently not on the table for the Bengals or for Joe Burrow?
For the NFL. 60 touchdowns. Do you think Joe Burrow can throw 60 touchdowns in a year?
Absolutely.
I think you'd be crazy. If you knew all the stuff that I knew, if you heard all the stories that I've heard, if I've watched every play of the dude's career now at every level. I would not be shocked if he threw 60 touchdowns in a season. And anybody saying that they would be shocked, you're not looking at the evidence, guys. You're not looking at the evidence. If he goes 17-0 and wins the Super Bowl, I am not going to sit here and say, wow, that was surprising. Because to say it is surprising at this point is disrespectful to Joe Burrow.
It's that you don't believe it can happen. It caught you off guard. If you're expecting that as the ceiling, you're not surprised.
Now, I'm not saying he will go 17-0. He will have a 6,000 yard
season. That is your prediction for next year?
Touchdowns.
That's what you're saying? Next year? 17-0? All the way?
Next year, I think they're 13-4. I've already kind of looked at the schedule, looked ahead. I mean, if the Bengals can do this offseason right, I think they can win 13, 14 games next year and be competing for the 1 seed. That should be the trajectory of this thing, but that's a conversation for a future podcast.
Yeah, okay. But I mean, if you're looking at what Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have done this season, you knew they had that chemistry. You knew that they were absolutely fucking killing it at LSU. They come here and setting records already. You're talking 60 touchdowns. You don't think that their chemistry is going to get better the more that they play in the NFL? This is the beginning. This is just the start.
I mean, and there's so many people that say, well, we do this with a lot of Dan Marino and all, this NFL. The thing about it is, though, is that I don't think we've ever had this. I think this is genuinely unique in NFL history, where you have the most dominant college player, the most dominant college wide receiver and quarterback playing together immediately after college. And the fact that they might be two of the greatest prospects at the position ever, the fact that they're also best friends, and the fact that they both also have massive chips on their shoulder. I don't know if you heard this quote, Matt, from Jamar Chase's press conferences, but Les Miles caught a stray bullet because Jamar Chase said, hey, Les Miles said I couldn't be a wide receiver, right? The people coming out and Jamar can't catch footballs in the preseason. And because of the Cincinnati Bengals market, and this is what the media has yet to realize, you have a team that loves big games, that loves to be doubted, and has moved beyond caring about the media, right?
Oh, yeah.
In fact, if you doubt them and count them out, it only helps them, right? It's being moved beyond what the Jets used to get affected by and all those things where a little doubt from the media creeps in and they just collapse. This team will feed off of it. And because of the Cincinnati market, it doesn't matter what happens in this Super Bowl. By July, guys, you will be seeing disrespectful things being said about the Cincinnati Bengals, disrespectful things being said about Joe Burrow. They could win this game by 30 points, and the knives are coming out. The doubters are coming back. They're going to come to cut down Joe Burrow. They're going to come to cut down Jamar Chase. Why? That's the NFL. Joe said the same thing in a press conference just, I think, 2 weeks ago. He said they cheer you on the way to the top of the mountain, and they can't wait to watch you fall down the mountain. And because of the Cincinnati market, that will be accelerated, right? Yeah. They don't want the Bengals to have a dynasty. That's a nightmare. See, and this is where it's a nightmare for the media. But what they don't realize is that a Midwestern team grabbing the attention like that can be hugely popular and beneficial.
With someone as lovable as Joe Burrow
I know. Exactly.
It is not difficult for teams, even teams that before hated the Bengals or had issue with the Bengals, to root for this team now. No
Steelers
problem.
Fans. Yeah. I got Steelers fans. I love Joe Burrow. And Steelers fans,
Big Ben retiring, they're like, you know what? Maybe it's your time. Go ahead. Go win a couple of Super Bowls. It's like, wow, I've never seen a Steelers fan this nice.
You can tell who the smart fan bases are, right? The Ravens as an organization have never had an elite quarterback until Lamar Jackson. And even Lamar Jackson, we don't know if he's a Super Bowl champion caliber quarterback. Only one playoff win. Joe Burrow already has 3 of them, right? So, and, don't come to me with, the Bengals defense and weapons when you were disrespecting the Bengals for 19 weeks up until this point, right?
Yeah.
So Joe Burrow is better than Lamar Jackson. I think it's just, I don't want to get in that conversation. But you can tell which fan base is smarter and who's had elite quarterbacks before. Because Colts fans, Niners fans, Steelers fans, these people that have had these all-time greats, Patriots fans, they look at Joe Burrow and they go, oh, you got it. That's what it is. Do you see it? My friend that's a Packers fan texts me, you guys have it. I got guys that are Chiefs fans, you guys got it, right? But Browns fans, if they're Baker Mayfield stands, they're like, I don't know, because they're worried about defending their guy. Ravens fans with Lamar, I don't know, because they're worried about defending their guy. Chargers fans, who the best quarterback they've seen is Phillip Rivers. Well, now it might be Justin Herbert. I mean, Herbert is this close to passing Rivers if he can just make the playoffs, win a few playoff games. But they are worried about defending their guy. So they're chopping down Joe Burrow. But organizations that have seen greatness before, that's it. That's the guy. And Steelers fans are like, we better find a guy.
They got Mason Rudolph, right?
But they're like, I saw a really educated Steelers fan. The Athletic comment section, because it's
found the educated Steelers fan? Where was he at?
Well, he subscribed to the Athletic. So
there you go.
There you go. But I love that comment section because it's genuinely smart people. It's not teenagers with a Bleacher Report account. Jesus. But it's generally adults. And so this adult Steelers fan leaves like a 4-paragraph thing about how the next 10 years of the Steelers franchise will be entirely defined by their ability to match Joe Burrow. And he was genuine about it. He said the next 10 years of Steelers football is not about the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's about Joe Burrow. And that's how the Ravens really should be looking at this thing. And if they're not, they're going to get beat quickly and all the time. The Browns, this is the entire NFL, honestly, outside of Kansas City and Buffalo, should be thinking about, okay, Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. Mahomes, Allen, Burrow. How do we stop these guys?
Yeah,
And that's just the future of the NFL.
Yeah, and you were talking about the hate kind of creeping in, and that's what the NFL does. And a part of me, and I think a part of Joe Burrow, he likes being the underdog. We need
Yes,
to
he
go
does.
back and we need to thank Ohio State and everyone who's ever doubted him in his entire life, because this moment going to the Super Bowl is a culmination of all of that, because he has that energy, he has that winner mentality, that Mamba mentality, where if people doubt you, you get better.
Yeah,
If
no doubt.
people don't think you can do it, you show them.
And
You don't have to talk back at them. You just prove it with your actions. And Joe Burrow has that through and through.
And I think what's unique about it, though, Matt, Kobe Bryant was a basketball prodigy. Okay. He was one of the best players in the country at any level while he was playing high school basketball in Philadelphia. Okay. Kobe Bryant used to take the principal's parking spot because he would show up earlier than the principal, and he would say, hey, I'm going to be better at my job than you are at yours, so I'm going to go ahead and take your spot. Right. Kobe was a legend early.
God, I love Kobe.
He created doubters, right? He really did create doubters. But because of Joe Burrow's background in Southeast Ohio, the fact that he was, after throwing for a combined 8,000 yards and almost 100 touchdowns his sophomore and junior season, and winning, I believe, 5 playoff games for a program that had never won any before he arrived, had 0 offers, except from Ohio University, because Frank Solich, his defensive coordinator, was Joe Burrow's dad. And Frank had been watching Joe since he was in 8th grade. And because they used to play on the Ohio University field. So he would watch him and go, oh, man, so I'm going to offer that kid. Like, hopefully everybody else is too stupid. Because Ohio University would have been a top 25 program for 4 years if Joe Burrow's the quarterback. Yep. Because this kid is a quarterback prodigy, but he just never got the treatment that Elway did. He never got the treatment that Manning did. He never got the treatment that Lawrence did. He never got the treatment that Jim Kelly or Dan Marino did in terms of his high school and college days. So Joe Burrow's chip was created when most kids quit. When most kids quit because they're told they're not good enough is when Joe Burrow got so pissed off that he decided that he was going to be the greatest quarterback that he could possibly be. So I don't even really credit Ohio State. I mean, those are just added chips, which is great. You know, it's like a wood chipper. You want more of them.
That's the chip on top
of it. But
the
baseline drive of Joe Burrow's work ethic is those Elite 11 coaches not inviting him to the camp. Trent Dilfer included in them, by the way. That's why whenever you see Trent talk about Joe Burrow, he's like, because he was a Tua guy. He was a Tua guy, and he didn't believe in Joe Burrow in high school. And he was right in front of his face because the kid was 155 pounds.
You're wrong on that one, Dilfer.
But what's incredible is that people didn't see his production and his like size and see that there's something special there, that he's able to do that at 155 pounds. Instead, they saw 155 pounds. Oh, and he plays in that Drek side of Ohio. There's no good programs over there. He's not beating any good competition. So he sucks. And we're never going to give him a chance. This kid who doesn't even know the difference between cover 2 and cover 3, but he can huck the ball 80 yards. That's the kid we're going to invite to the camp because I can teach him defense. What's so stupid about all these NFL coaches is they think they can teach this thing. The ability to read a defense at an incredibly high level, the level that Joe Burrow, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, the greats do it at, you can't teach it. It's a skill you should be looking for, and they completely ignored the kid that had more skill in that specific area than any quarterback prospect in the history of football. Go ask the Athens coaches. Go watch the offense they ran. This kid, it was the quarterback prodigy in terms of the mentality.
Yeah, and having that mentality, those are the all-time greats in the NFL.
Yep.
Those
and
are
now,
the all-time great quarterbacks.
Now, Matt, he's 220 pounds, and he's hucking the ball 55 miles per hour, and his neck is this big around, and he's just going to keep getting stronger and faster and a bigger arm, and now he's got the money to do it all and the motivation, and there's no end to this because Joe Burrow is an addict for football. Addict.
God, I love having him in Cincinnati.
There you go.
So, Super Bowl in a week. what do the Bengals have to do? I could talk about Joe Burrow for the next week straight, but what do the Bengals as a whole have to do to win this game?
Block. I mean, they got to block. They got to block better than expected. I think there's a real formula that if the offensive line has just like an average day compared to what the Rams are going to do, I think the Rams are going to have 2 or 3 sacks, right?
Yeah.
But if there's just an average day from the line where they step up and just give Joe a certain amount of time, I think the Bengals are going to be able to win this game, because I don't think that the Rams offense is going to explode on the Bengals. I think that the Bengals do a very good job with these explosive offenses of keeping them hemmed in. And if the defense, I've said this all year, this defense is about energy and focus. If they are energized and they have focus, they're going to have a lot of success, right?
Yeah, definitely.
This, right, in this specific game, I really doubt they're going to lack energy and focus because, Matt, I don't know if you know, it's the Super Bowl. In fact,
sounds like it.
They might be over-energized. But their style of play, they're such smart football players on the defense that in a game like this, of this magnitude, they're going to have so much energy, so much focus. I don't think they're going to give up a lot of big plays. I don't think they're going to miss tackles. And that's really where this defense has died this year, is missed tackles and big plays and lack of focus and missed assignments and slow rushes. And I just don't think that they're going to have that in this game. So I don't think the Rams offense is going to become explosive, which means the Bengals offensive line just needs to be, okay, we're surviving here for Joe Burrow.
To not give up 9 sacks, even though they still won that game. But they need to be more like how they were against the Chiefs. And the defense needs to do that as well. I mean, you're talking big plays. The defense has really stepped up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's been the difference. Joe Burrow has been pretty consistent. But when the offense isn't moving, if they go 3 and out 4 times in a row, that's when you need the defense to step up. And they have done that.
Well, and I think it's a red zone issue for the Bengals. But this is where it excites me, is that this offense has kind of been, you hear that ignition, and then it fires up for a moment, and then it dies down. But we know that there's a Ferrari in there, right? And it's just about if they figure out something in the red zone schematically against the Rams, there's a Ferrari where they score every drive. We've seen it many times this year. We've seen it against different types of defenses. We've seen it against elite defenses. We've seen it against bad defenses. We've seen it in every type of game this season for the Bengals. We've seen 5 to 6 series in a row where they score a touchdown.
Yeah.
Right. We've seen that this year. So the fact that that's in the Bengals' back pocket is really thrilling, because if they figure out the red zone and the offensive line can hold it together and they can jump out to a big lead because they're piling it on, that's when it's ball game. I mean, because you're going to ask Stafford to make big throws into tight windows. And if this team can just get a big lead, they will win. But they also can come back from behind. And I think that's why they've been the best team secretly over the past 9 weeks in the NFL. And hopefully they prove that against the Rams, because if you win it all, you're the best damn team.
Yeah. God. 2 teams left. One of them are the Bengals. Absurd. It's absurd. Yeah. I mean, the offense has been very momentum based. It's been like the sense of urgency into the end of the second quarter, right before half. Throw it up for Jamar Chase. Fuck it, he's down there somewhere. Or second half team. The adjustments that we've seen from this team, whether they're down 13, 17, 21, coming into the second half, Marvin Lewis, Andy Dalton, that game's over. Now, that game is not over, especially if we're holding Patrick Mahomes to 3 points in the second half, and then the Bengals score on 3 consecutive drives. If the defense is holding and we make those second half adjustments, I mean, not that I want to be down going into halftime of the Super Bowl, but if we are, I mean, Bengals fans are not as pessimistic as they have been in the past, I think, because they've seen what Joe Burrow and this team can do.
Yeah, and this is my message now, because in the middle of the season, I don't know if you remember this podcast, Matt, but I asked for irrational faith in Joe Burrow. Irrational faith. This was right around the Jets period, right?
I remember this because you were very, very positive at that point, and I was in a okay, like Joe Burrow still looks good. That was a bad game. Maybe they'll make the playoffs, but I wasn't You hardly wavered at that point, and I thought you were a madman for that.
Yeah, I mean, there was a bunch of people. I said irrational faith in Joe Burrow, and this was when he led the league in interceptions and all those things. And everybody was like, I mean, especially Bengals fans, I don't know, you don't earn irrational faith in the NFL. And I said, no, he has worked hard enough, and you've seen it be great enough that you should just trust it, because there's no other freaking option. Okay, irrational faith, because he's working hard enough. You know it. He's working hard enough.
Yep.
He's putting in the time, right? With Baker Mayfield, you're always asking the question, man, is he not putting in the time? With Johnny Manziel, you ask the question, is he putting in the time? With Joe Burrow, he's working. I asked for irrational faith, and now they've earned it in droves. And now I think that we're kind of understanding as a city and as a team and as a culture, both in the organization and as a fan base, the power of sitting there on Monday and saying, we're going to win this damn game. We're going to win. Believe it. Believe we're going to win. Believe. Because when you've done all the work, when you've prepared yourself to the utmost capability that you can, then all you can do is just believe that it's going to work. And that's what this Bengals culture provides us, is we know they've busted their ass for us. And we know that means we don't have to doubt them anymore to try to make them become harder workers. We just say, hey, let's believe in them. They've earned that from us. And they've earned on Sunday, even if they're down 29, they've earned us sitting on that couch until triple zeros in the fourth and believing with everything we got. Because that's all you can really do as a fan sometimes. And I think we've learned the power of that in this playoff run, Matt.
Yeah, and I mean, this season, if you're a Bengals fan, and you have been a Bengals fan for decades, this season feels like so much weight off of your shoulders. We were talking about this in the middle of the season. Joe Burrow was doing things that Andy Dalton couldn't do, that Marvin Lewis couldn't do, beating the Steelers by double digits, beating them in Heinz Field. I mean, winning a playoff game, beating Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, AFC Championship game. It's just, this year has felt like some kind of acid dream. And so I think that's why when you're looking at Bengals fans and everyone's like, oh, sweet, you guys are in the Super Bowl. And we're like surprised every time. Like, wait, no, we've had decades of not this. So now having a year, a surprise year of this is still surreal.
Well, the comparison I made on an earlier Coney was, it's like the 16-year-old that's got older brothers and gets invited to a college party. And like, it's really cool at first. You're like, wow, this is great. That was us like making the playoffs. And then like an hour later, you're making out with a sorority girl in the corner and you have no idea how on earth that happened. And how you got there, you don't know how you're invited. You frankly don't remember. You don't know what time it is. You couldn't remember what day of the week it is. You're 16. You're not supposed to be there. I just lied to this girl, said I was 19. Like, what's going on? Like, it's just
you look around. Everyone that you came with is not there anymore.
Yeah, well, they left you. You don't know where you're at.
I'm the only one here.
Disheveled. It's crazy.
It's just me and Matt Stafford over there.
And it's insane. And you're beyond belief and you don't know what's going on. And it's just like, that's the only thing I can compare it to, because we don't have anything in our sports lives to compare this crap to, man. And you know, that's what's cool about it. And just a full circle story. I used to tell you in the summer, Matt, when we were doing these podcasts in the summer, that I wear my Bengals mask. I work with kids. And the one kid would be like, oh, why are you wearing that Bengals mask, man? Why are you wearing that Bengals mask? Well, now it's gone full circle in Chicago. I was out playing in the snow. I was playing some touch football and I was just listening, and you could, it's those quiet snow days and the sound carries, and you could see there was a bunch of football games around Oz Park in Chicago, just a bunch of kids playing. And I saw this one kid drop back and you heard just echo through the wind, Joe Burrow back in the pocket. It caught it. He's like, T Higgins. And then they start hitting the gritty. And this is in the middle of Chicago. And these aren't like, that's what this team is doing. And I think this is where the media is really underestimating this. I think they're underestimating its popularity. I think they're underestimating its chance to inspire, and they're underestimating its cool factor. If they win this damn game, they will be the coolest team in the NFL, because they're going to be hitting the gritty and dancing. There's going to be cigars in the locker room. The parade is going to be insane. They will be the coolest team, the coolest brand, the coolest image in the NFL for people that are 18 and under.
Yeah.
And that is so massively influential for the next 20 years of NFL football, especially if they can connect the run with success over the next 2 or 3 years. Because now you have this formula of the big red machine. And the Reds are way more popular than most Cincinnati things, guys. Think about it. Think about all the Reds fans around the world. Colin Cowherd was a Cincinnati Reds fan, okay? Because the big red machine was happening when he was a kid.
Yeah.
Right? How did
it was cool at that point to be a Reds fan.
How did the Pittsburgh Steelers become so popular? Because they had a dynasty. What about the 49ers? They had a dynasty. What about the Cowboys? They had a dynasty. What about the Golden State Warriors? They had a dynasty. Now they're one of the most popular brands in sports. And this is what everybody was trying to say before when you discount the Cincinnati Bengals. If that dude is the dude, if he is the guy, if he's the it doesn't matter what brand
you look about as cool as Burrow doing it.
Right? Hey, that's what's great about Joe is you just be yourself. That's what's cool about it is you just be confident in yourself. And I've leaned into that with the bedhead today.
There you go. I'm pulling that. I'm making that a GIF and we're posting that. All right. Final thing. Versus the spread. Right now, the Rams, 4.5 point favorites. Over under 48.5. Obviously, we're both picking the Bengals to cover and win. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Over under 48.5. What do you think?
I don't know. I think under 48. That's the problem. I just don't think the Bengals are going to get to 30 in this game. I think this thing is going to get physical. I think these defenses have a lot of energy players. And I think that's going to drive the defenses to a lot of success in this game. Plus, you have two coaches that are very, very familiar and intimate with each other's offensive system. Yeah. What does that lead to? Leads to a lot of on the defense.
It's going to be chess moves.
Exactly.
Trying to make sure that they're staying one up.
Yep. And I think that the personnel matches, I'm worried about Cooper Kupp tearing it up, but I just think it's going to be this game that sits there and is tight and there's sacks and there's a turnover and you got to play clean. You got to be able to have short passes. I don't see our offensive line performing well enough to allow Joe Burrow to play to what his performance is going to be. Joe Burrow will come out. If you guaranteed me that he'd be clean all game, I'd predict 475 yards and 6 touchdowns. He'd come out and he'd light the world on absolute fire because this is the stage of stages on football, and this kid is built for the stage.
It's big game Joey Buckets, baby.
This is I don't know if you've watched, how much American Idol do you watch?
None. What year
None?
is it?
Not right now. I meant in the past.
I watched the first 3 seasons.
The real superstars, right? The ones that would go on for success. Their finale, go watch them, right? Their final performance that won them the competition, right? Go watch the guys that would win and they would never have any success, like Ruben Studdard or somebody. And you're like, wow, that was really good. That was great. But the people that go on to fame and fortune at the end of that show, in the finale, they step up and they reach a level of singing that you're like, wow, yep. I didn't think that was possible.
Yep. I know exactly what performance and which guy you're talking about. Taylor Hicks was for sure the superstar.
Hey, Taylor, I was Team Taylor from audition day that year. I remember. I almost dyed my hair gray when I was watching the show.
Wow, that would have been.
Well, hey, listen, my mom dealt with watching football with me all the time, so I'd hop on, watch American Idol with her. It's the only child life,
There you go.
But it's going to be like that, and that's what Joe Burrow is. Go look at his state championship numbers. 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, the state record that still stands in yards per attempt, and completion percentage.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane game. And I think that's the type of performance Joe Burrow will bring. But if the offensive line doesn't match it, then it won't be statistically that. And it'll be this grinded out game where I think Joe Burrow has the ball in his hands late, wins it on the final drive, 24-19.
24-19?
Yes. 24-19.
Okay. I'm thinking that it's going to probably be around that or over. I think it's going to start slow. chess match, few punts. People were going, "Oh wow, this is the team. These are the teams we get to watch right now." And then going into the second or going into halftime, a lot of points. Second half, a lot of points. If this ends with a Chiefs Bills 28 points in the final 2 minutes of the fourth quarter and overtime, to be the greatest game. I mean, if Joe Burrow's going to win it, if this is going to be the Bengals' first Super Bowl win, I don't want it to be a stupid 49ers 6-3 grind out.
I don't really frankly care. I would love if this were the worst Super Bowl ever, because the Bengals go up 28-0 in the first quarter and are already hitting the gritty, and the Rams just give up and Stafford just implodes and the commercials suck and the halftime sucks and the anthem sucks. But if the Bengals are holding that damn trophy at the end of the night, it's going to be the best night of my sports life, undoubtedly. And I was a huge Cavaliers fan when LeBron come back 3-1 down. That was a pretty big night. That was a pretty big night for me.
And this will beat that.
This will beat it by a mile, right? This will be the distance between Tom Brady and every other quarterback that existed in terms of my personal experience in the sporting event. I'm a German citizen, and I watched the World Cup final live in the 7-1 drubbing of Brazil. This would be like 100x that in terms of how much I really appreciate it. So I think everybody's in agreement that's a Bengals fan.
I mean, if this is going to be like this fairy tale where we have been stuck in the fucking poison rainforest eating garbage apples for so long, and now we finally are in the castle, and this is our happily ever after, but it's just the beginning, I want the whole thing to be amazing. But you are completely right. Bengals win this, it doesn't matter. Anything that led up to that game, whatever the game was, whatever the commercials were, doesn't matter. As long as Joe Burrow is holding that Lombardi trophy at the end.
That's just too much, man. It's like, because when we used to talk about it, like it was so beyond imagination that it was like almost funny to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, it was within, like, Joe Burrow can do all of these things sometime in his tenure with the Bengals, in his career, maybe within the next 5 to 10 years.
And it's like, no, okay, now the game's on Sunday. All right.
The game's on Sunday. Here we go.
It's all right. You know, when this thing kicks off, guys, when the anthem's being sung, I guarantee none of you out there have actually had this settle in that it's happening. I don't care how many articles you've read. I don't care how much you think you've prepared for this moment. When that national anthem is being sung and they pan the sideline and show Joe Burrow, Zach Taylor, Jamar Chase and the crew, and show Mike Brown in the box, and there's a kickoff and all the camera flashes that's famous of the Super Bowl, you're going to be sitting there like, what is going on? Are we in the Super Bowl? Like, are we in the Super Bowl right now? I've been waiting for this dream to end for like a year, and like we're in the Super Bowl right now, and then
you're just hoping you don't wake up.
The first play is going to happen. Like, God forbid Joe Burrow gets sacked on the first play or something, and you're just sitting, oh, we're in the Super Bowl. Oh boy, I could have emotional damage after this game, and then it's going to be very, very real. And the experience that all of us are going through right now will be colored by the events of the game. And there will be time for perspective. There will be time for great season and all that. But this has got to be, as a fan base, as everybody, this has got to be full bare belief that we're going to go win that Lombardi trophy. That's what this goal is. We're here to win the whole damn thing, because you never know when you're going to get back. I bet my dad in 1989, after his tequila hangover, woke up and said, yeah, we're going to get back with Boomer for sure. We'll be back. Well, he waited 33 years till his adult son is calling him on the phone, lives in a different city. I don't want that. Okay. All right. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I'd like
we
it
don't
to
want
happen.
your.
Let's do it. Let's end every demon that's ever existed for us, and let's do it right damn now.
Start the Bengals dynasty right now. We've been talking about this on the 3 a.m. Coney. We have believed it's happening. All right, my DoorDash is here, so I'm going to go. It's sitting on my porch.
Listen, my ring light was on the radiator and it kicked on, and I was like, I don't want the plastic to melt, so I had to take it off.
Oh, there you go. Smart. All right.
Yeah, anyway.
7 days.
7 days
in the Super Bowl.
We'll have a bunch of Athens people on the pod this week, so that'll be great for everybody to look forward to.
Hell yeah. Till next time.